advised.
It is 3 o'clock. I will now call the Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026 Environmental Resources Committee meeting to order. We will start by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we can move on to item number 3, public comment. We have one person signed up, Brian Dillinger. You please step up and state your name and your municipality, please.
Hello, my name is Brian Dillinger and I'm with the town of Day. There you go. Okay. Hello, my name is Brian Dillinger and I'm with the town of Day. I am the chair of our plan commission and I'm here to represent the town of Day regarding our proposed zoning code. To give you a little background on how we got here today, we established our plan commission in August of 2024 with our first meeting in September. We were tasked with updating our comprehensive plan. That wasn't done since it was first adopted in 2006. And we also were tasked with developing our own town zoning code. So we contracted with North Central Wisconsin Regional Plan Commission in October of 2024 to assist us in the comp plan updates. With lots of work, we completed the updates with final approval to the comp plan in July of 2025. And during the same time working on the comp plan, we also were working on developing our zoning code and map. We held a public hearing in July of 2025 for public input to help us with the zoning code. And roughly after 30 meetings, we had our final zoning code ready to be sent to our attorney for review. The review was completed in September of 2025. The commission passed a resolution for approval to the town board at the end of September. We held another public hearing in October of 2025. During all this time, we also kept working on the zoning map as they go hand in hand. We had to make a couple minor changes to some verbiage that was directed to us from the public comment at the October public hearing. So we finally got to this stage in the approval process by sending it here to the county last month for your review, final approval. This has been a long process and exhausting to the commission members as we worked tirelessly and had some very long meeting nights. I give a lot of credit to our commission members because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here today discussing our zoning code. I will be here in attendance to answer any questions you may have concerning our zoning code. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We can now move on to item number 4, the approval of the January 6, 2026 committee minutes. Supervisor Drabek with the motion to approve. Supervisor Schoenborn with the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will move on to item 5, operational functions required by statute, ordinance, or resolution. First, I'd like to ask everybody to please mute your phone. The Marathon County Environmental Resources Committee is now meeting in public hearing on the location, plan, specifications, and purpose of the following projects. Tim Vreeland on behalf of Larry Miller, General Agriculture to Rural Residential in the town of Frankfort. Tim Vreeland on behalf of Tim and Stephanie Spaeth, Rural Residential to Low Density Residential in the town of Green Valley. Jason Flieger on behalf of Gary Schulman, Farmland Preservation to Rural Estate, town of McMillan. I would like to introduce the members of the committee. I am Supervisor Mike Ritter. To my left is Supervisor Seefeld. And we have Supervisor Drabek and Supervisor Schoenborn. We also have Supervisor Ungerer, Supervisor Kroll, Supervisor Kurth. Supervisor DeBrew is online, and we have Marilyn Bend, our town's representative. Staff we have present, we have Lori Muskimmons, the Director of CPZ, Shad Harvey, the Land Resources Manager, Nicole Deloney, the Office Manager, and Garrett Poggle, the Land Use Specialist. The establishment of the ERC Committee is required by law for purposes of administration of county ordinances and land conservation programs. This committee must follow state laws and local ordinances as written. The committee cannot change or ignore any part of the ordinances or state laws, but must apply the laws as written. The purpose of this committee is to hear and decide on proposed ordinances and ordinance revisions, rezoning petitions, and provide direction on land conservation and planning programs. The ERC committee will give a full and fair hearing to any person applying for a rezone petition. A tape recording is being made of the meeting, which will assist in preparation of written hearing minutes. The committee is interested in hearing all pertinent comments and questions. Each hearing will be opened by reading the public notice and allowing staff to present a staff report, including evidence from any on-site inspection. The applicant and anyone wishing to testify will be sworn in and allowed to give testimony. Witnesses will be called in order of those. First in favor, second opposed, and then third as interested may appear. The committee may ask questions of the zoning staff and applicant. It is necessary that we set reasonable time limit on individual statements and on the overall length of the hearing. To promote an orderly discussion, anyone wishing to present oral testimony or ask questions relating to the hearing should state your name and present your testimony or question so it becomes part of the official record. We request you avoid repetition. Once the committee has all the necessary facts, the chairman will close the hearing, allowing no further testimony, and the committee will deliberate and decide in front of the public whether the applicant has met the standards in the ordinance. No additional testimony from the public is allowed during the deliberation. However, the committee may question staff for purposes of clarification. After a decision is made, the committee will proceed to the next hearing. Many decisions made by the committee are a recommendation to the Marathon County Board of Supervisors, who will take up the matter at a future county board meeting. Contact staff for more information regarding the county board process. The committee will now hear the application of Item 5A1, Tim Vreeland on behalf of Larry Muller, General Agriculture to Rural Residential in the town of Frankfurt. Garrett, will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right.
All right, this is for Larry Mueller, petition to rezone land, staff report February 3rd, 2026 for the Environmental Resources Committee. The petitioner is Tim Vreeland, located at 6103 Dawn Street, Weston, Wisconsin, 54476. Property owner is Larry Mueller at 109535 Chokecherry Road, Colby, Wisconsin, 54421. Area proposed to be rezoned is located west of the intersection of Chokecherry Road and Hazelnut Road. The petition of Tim Vreeland on behalf of Larry Mueller to amend the General Code of Ordinance for Marathon County, Chapter 17 Zoning Code to rezone lands from GA General Agriculture to RR Rural Residential located in part of the northeast quarter of the fractional northwest quarter of Section 31, Township 28 North, Range 3 East, Town of Frankfurt. Area to be rezoned to RR Rural Residential is described as Lot 1, the preliminary CSM, parent parcel number as listed. The Town of Frankfurt Town Board met on December 8th, 2025. Marathon County Environmental Resources Committee is meeting today, February 3rd, 2026 at 3 p.m. A legal advertisement was published in the Wausau Daily Herald. Notice of the zoning change request was also sent by regular mail to adjacent property owners within 300 feet of the subject property. On December 8th, 2025, the Town of Frankfurt Town Board recommended approval to Marathon County's Environmental Resources Committee. Staff recommendation, the rezone meets all the zoning district standards as it relates to size, frontage, access, and dimension. The rezone also appears to be consistent with the purpose and intent of the town's comprehensive plan and as indicated by the town resolution. Based on the information provided above, findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the town's recommendation, it appears the rezone request meets all the rezone criteria and standards for rezoning. Therefore, CPZ staff recommend that the Environmental Resources Committee recommend approval to Marathon County Board of Supervisors. Should the rezone be approved by the Marathon County Board of Supervisors, CPZ staff recommend the town update its comprehensive plan to reflect the change if applicable.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Garrett? Okay, I will then ask if there's anybody in the room or online that would like to speak in favor of item 5A1. One more time, is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of item 5A1? Is there anybody who would like to speak against item 5A1?
On this side, Weston?
Once again, is there anybody that would like to speak against item 5A1? I'll call once. Is there anybody that'd like to speak as interested in 5A1? Okay, hearing none, I will now declare this hearing closed and the committee will deliberate. Supervisor Seefeld.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will make a motion for the petition on behalf of Larry Miller to amend the General Code of Ordinance for Marathon County, Chapter 17 zoning code to rezone land from GA General Agriculture to RR Rural Dental in the town of Frankfurt and pass the conclusions of law and forward it to the county board.
Supervisor Seefeld with the motion. Do I have a second? Supervisor Drabek with the second. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5A2, Tim Vreeland on behalf of Tim and Stephanie Spaeth, rural residential to low-density residential in the town of Green Valley.
All right, this is for Tim and Stephanie Spaeth, petition to rezone land. Staff report February 3rd, 2026 for the Environmental Resources Committee. The petitioner is Tim Vreeland, located at 6103 Dawn Street, Weston, Wisconsin, 54476. Property owners are Tim and Stephanie Spaeth at 8917 Washington Street, Marshfield, Wisconsin, 54449. Area proposed to be rezoned is located west of the intersection of Cottage Road and County Road S. The petition of Tim Vreeland on behalf of Tim and Stephanie Spaeth to amend the General Code of Ordinance for Marathon County, Chapter 17 zoning code to rezone lands from RR rural residential to LDR low density residential located in part of the northeast quarter of the northwest quarter of Section 10, Township 26 North, Range 5 East, Town of Green Valley. Area to be rezoned to LDR low density residential is described as Lot 1 and Lot 2 of the preliminary CSM, parent parcel number as listed. The Town of Green Valley Town Board met on January 29th, 2026. Marathon County Environmental Resources Committee is meeting today, February 3rd, 2026 at 3 p.m. A legal advertisement was published in the Wausau Daily Herald. Notice of the zoning change request was also sent by regular mail to adjacent property owners within 300 feet of the subject property. On January 29th, 2026, the Town of Green Valley Town Board recommended approval to Marathon County's Environmental Resources Committee. Staff recommendation, the rezone meets all the zoning district standards as it relates to size, frontage, access, and dimension. The rezone also appears to be consistent with the purpose and intent of the town's comprehensive plan and as indicated by a town resolution. Based on the information provided above, findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the town's recommendation, it appears the rezone request meets all the rezone criteria and standards for rezoning. Therefore, CPZ staff recommend that the Environmental Resources Committee recommend approval to the Marathon County Board of Supervisors. Should the rezone be approved by Marathon County Board of Supervisors, CPZ staff recommend that the town update its comprehensive plan to reflect the zoning change if applicable.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Garrett on this one? All right, I will call. Is there anybody that would like to speak in favor of item 5A2? Once again, is there anybody that'd like to speak in favor of item 5A2? Is there anybody that would like to speak against item 5A2? One more time, is there anybody that would like to speak against item 5A2? Calling once, is there anybody that'd like to speak as interested in item 5A2? Hearing none, I will declare this hearing closed and the committee will once again deliberate. What are your wishes? Supervisor Drabek.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion to approve the rezone of Timothy and Stephanie Spaeth from rural residential to low-density residential based on the findings of fact as presented by staff, conclusions of law, and the town's recommendation.
Okay, Supervisor Draybeck with the motion to approve, Supervisor Kurt with the second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5A3, Jason Flieger on behalf of Gary Schulman, Farmland Preservation to Rural Estate, Town of McMillan.
All right, this is for Gary Schulman, petition to rezone land, staff report February 3rd, 2026, for the Environmental Resources Committee. Petitioner is Jason Flieger, located at 163-957 Owl Ridge Road, Wausau, Wisconsin, 54403. Property owner is Gary Schulman at 9817 Talons Way, Verona, Wisconsin, 53593. Area proposed to be rezoned is located at the intersection of Stott Ave and East McMillan Street. The petition of Jason Flieger on behalf of Gary Schulman to amend the General Code of Ordinance for Marathon County, Chapter 17 zoning code to rezone lands from FP Farmland Preservation to RE Rural Estate located in part of the southwest quarter of Section 35, Township 26 North, Range 3 East, Town of McMillan. Area to be rezoned to RE Rural Estate is described as Lot 2 of the preliminary CSM. Parent parcel number is listed. The Town of McMillan Town Board met on December 30th, 2025. Marathon County Environmental Resource Committee is meeting today, February 3rd, 2026 at 3 p.m. A legal advertisement was published in the Wausau Daily Herald. Notice of the zoning change request was also sent by regular mail to adjacent property owners within 300 feet of the subject property. On December 30th, 2025, the Town of McMillan Town Board recommended approval to Marathon County's Environmental Resources Committee. Staff recommendation, the rezone meets all the zoning district standards as it relates to size, frontage, access, and dimension. The rezone also appears to be consistent with the purpose and intent of the town's comprehensive plan, and as indicated by town resolution. Based on the information provided above, findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the town's recommendation, it appears the rezone request meets all the rezone criteria and standards for rezoning. Therefore, CPZ staff recommend that the Environmental Resources Committee recommend approval to the Marathon County Board of Supervisors. Should the rezone be approved by Marathon County Board of Supervisors, CPZ staff recommend that the town update its comprehensive plan to reflect the zoning change if applicable.
Okay, any questions for Garrett? All righty. Is there anybody in the room or online that would like to speak in favor of item 5A3? Once again, is there anybody that would like to speak in favor of item 5A3? Is there anybody that'd like to speak against item 5A3? Once again, is there anybody that would like to speak against item 5A3? Is there anybody that would like to speak as interested in 5A3? Hearing none, I will declare this hearing closed and the committee will deliberate. Supervisor Kroll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make a motion to pass the petition of Gary Schulman from Farmland Preservation to RE Rural Residential in the Town of McMillan. And this decision is based on the findings of facts, conclusions of law, staff recommendations, and the town's approval.
Okay, Supervisor Kroll with the motion to approve. Do I have a second? Supervisor Schoenborn with the second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to item 5B, review and possible recommendations to county board for its consideration. Item 5B1, Town of Day zoning code.
Alrighty, so this is a non-county zone town zoning code. The Town of Day currently does not have a zoning code. They're looking to implement a zoning code. It has to go through the county's committees for it to get final approval. As you heard during the public comment, there are representatives here from the Town of Day. If the committee has any specific questions regarding the zoning code, they did provide us with a draft of the ordinance, the zoning map, as well as their public hearing notice. I'd be happy to address any questions if I can, or there are individuals from the town today in the back as well.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Or comments, or suggestions? I think we're good. So, would like to make, anybody want to make a motion to approve? Supervisor Drabek?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd make a motion to approve the Town of Day zoning code.
Anybody, Supervisor Drabek with the motion to approve, anybody with a second? Supervisor Kurt with a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. We can move on to item 5D. Review and possible action, 5D1, Marathon County 2026 Comprehensive Plan Draft, available for review and comment to Executive Committee at marathoncounty.gov about us comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Chair. So this item is a carryover from last month. As a reminder, the Executive Committee has a draft of the comprehensive plan out there for review and comment. They are asking committees to comment on it by their February 12th, 2026 meeting. I did place it under an actionable item in case there was something the committee wanted to move forward as a group, but supervisors can just recommend changes, ask questions, things like that, and we'll bring those comments to the executive as well. In the packet, I included a summary of all the goals and objectives by chapter, as those are the things the executive committee is asking you to focus on in your review. So, take any questions or comments.
Any questions or comments on the comprehensive plan? Supervisor Kroll?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just curious if any other committees have had any comments so far on.
Yeah. So I'll try and remember them all, and I'm sure Administrator Leonard can chime in here on the ones I forget. So Health and Human Services did bring up that they wanted to see an objective about homelessness in there. So we have a working draft we're working on that is proposing to perhaps include one of those objectives. I believe other comments from other committees included in the infrastructure goal, there was some discussion about the use of the word high versus highest practicable. So that's a conversation we're going to take back to the executive committee to determine what language they want to use there. And in chapter 11, on the promote tourism throughout the county, that objective, originally it just read with a strong emphasis on the promotion of outdoor recreational tourism, and it was requested that we consider adding and the arts as well. And Administrator Leonard, do you remember any others?
That's everything that I recalled. All right, anybody have anything else they want to add to that list? No, I think we're good.
Okay.
So do we need a motion for?
Don't,
Okay.
it was just if the committee felt like there was something they wanted to all get behind and send something
Okay.
to the executive, yeah.
Okay. So item 6, we have none. Item 7, policy issues, discussion and potential committee determination. 7A, farmland preservation ordinance update within chapter 17 of Marathon County General Code of Ordinances.
Okay, so every 10 years, DACAP requires that we update our, our farmland preservation ordinance. That does sit within chapter 17 within the zoning code. So one of those things that we are bringing forward, we wanted to get any comments from the committee so that they can review those, any suggestions that they might want to see. And then we're clearing up any statutory changes there too. So one of the big concerns that we had was addressing farm consolidations. And then in a minute, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this presentation. It's a fairly short presentation, just talking about what a farm consolidation is and then how it differs from a general rezone. So a farm consolidation is a pathway that allows towns in not only farmland preservation, but also in general agriculture to separate buildings that were placed on the property prior to January 1st of 2014 from farmland with a couple of caveats. The key in farmland preservation is that it cannot be any larger than 4.99 acres and not any smaller than 2. So it's got to stay within that threshold. Anything outside of those parameters ends up having to go through the rezone process with the towns. The other part of that is that the remnant property has to meet the size standards for that district. And in farmland preservation, it's 35 acres. In general agriculture, that remnant property has to be at least 10. So those are some qualifications in order to go through this farm consolidation process. And it allows properties to be removed from a larger property without having to go through the rezone process. They have to follow what's called rural residential standards, which is that 2 to 4.99 acre standard, but then it also on the map will stay in farm preservation. So currently in our chapter 17, farmland consolidations, like I said, are allowed in general ag and farm preservation. The standards for the rezone, January 1st, 2014, if a building has been, was placed in one spot and built prior to that date, it would be eligible. If it's been rotated or moved in any way, then it's not eligible anymore. So I just got a few examples here of a farm consolidation. So in this example, a farm residence located on a 40-acre parcel. The residence was constructed prior to January 1st of 2014, and the 40 acres is currently zoned farmland preservation. The owner would like to create a new parcel to split their farm residence off the 40-acre parcel. So what they've proposed is a 2-acre parcel is created in accordance with farm consolidation regulations, and the residue property is compliant with farmland preservation, being that 35-acre minimum. This is an allowable action, and it would be compliant with the farm preservation code listed in chapter 17. So as you can see in the diagram, they've moved it off into this corner, and that would be a separate property. In example 2, a farm residence is located on a 36-acre parcel. Again, the home was built before January 1st, 2014. It's currently zoned farmland preservation. It's 36 acres in this example, and the owner would like to pursue the consolidation. They propose a 2-acre parcel split off from the 36, creating a residue parcel of 34 acres. So that residue parcel of the 34 acres would not meet that qualification of being able to be zoned farmland preservation. Therefore, you could not do a farm consolidation in this instance. So there's an example here, a little bit of a caveat. If you have these 2 properties here, same property owner that owns a 40-acre parcel in the north, what they can do is, because that remnant parcel, that acreage is the 34 acres, they can combine it either by deed, title, with a survey. In this case, more than likely, they would do it with a survey. Combine it with the property in north to get a total remnant parcel of 74 acres. This scenario is allowed in farm consolidations. So example 3 here, the home is located on a 40-acre parcel. Again, residence built prior to 2014, January 1st, 40 acres. That's zoned farmland preservation. Property owner relocated the farm residence to a different location on the same parcel, May 1st, 2024. Property owner wants to pursue a farm consolidation with the residents for the new location. This is not allowed in our current ordinance, so it would not be eligible for a farm consolidation because it's been relocated from its original spot. This is one of the larger concerns when we're looking at the farm preservation ordinance. Our current ordinance, as we as staff read it, says that it is not a permitted use, like I've got here, to move a residence and then go through a farm consolidation. It would have to take place first. And this is an instance where it would have to go through the rezone process. This is consistent with what DACAP has informed us. That would be permitted. But however, there's been some interpretation here recently that this activity is allowed to be part of a farm consolidation. So we've been instructed by DACAP to address this. So specifically with farm consolidations, we've come up with a couple of options. We can eliminate the option to have a farm consolidation that would affect both the Farm Preservation Code and the General Ag Code. By doing this, you would end up having to force all the properties, all these surveys to go through the towns for the rezone, just like I do it when we start these meetings. On the other part too, like we did earlier, when we went through all of those rezones that were former farm consolidations that have been, that are no longer with the original owner, which means they would have to be rezoned at that point when that property sells, but we never see that until we go through that 10-year period, and now we have to catch up on all these farm consolidations and rezone them. If you were to eliminate the possibility in that pathway of doing a consolidation, then it would be a lot smaller amount of cleanup every 10 years when we go and look at those properties again. The other option when it comes to farm consolidations is we can clarify that language to still allow this pathway, but it would make very clear that the relocation of a farm residence, rotation of any kind, makes it ineligible for a farm consolidation. So at this point, we're looking for committee input, any suggestions that you might want us to look at, things that we can bring to DATCAP. We have reached out to the town with that very question about whether we should eliminate it, whether we should clarify the language, or if they have any other suggestions. So we haven't received any of those back yet, but my guess is within the next month, we should get some more info from towns.
Any comments or suggestions? Supervisor Kroll?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Garrett, so this whole topic has been the bane of my existence on this committee. It is so challenging for me to understand. So I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. So our understanding is if a house is built before 2014, let's say in your example, right in the middle of the picture, they want to move that location, it is now considered a brand new house.
Correct.
Okay. So if our job now, if it is permissible, would that be the area to tackle? Would be that house is still considered built before 2014? Is that the language that you guys would use?
The way it's written in our code and the way we interpret it is that it's not permitted to do that. And that's the way the DATCAP looks at it as well. If you guys remember, there was a amendment that was proposed that was sent to DATCAP, and DATCAP said that that did not align with, I believe it's chapter 91. So they said that that would not be permitted. So they wanted, like I said, they wanted us to clear up this language to make sure that that situation doesn't happen again.
If I may add something too, part of it too is the term constructed in our ordinance. It's one of those terms where, you know, what is constructed? If I have a home built in a factory, was it constructed in the factory or was it constructed when it was placed on site? So it's really just trying to clean up. We just want to determine what path the committee would like to see this go as far as how do we clarify that? Do we change the language in the ordinance to still allow consolidations, or do we remove that option altogether, essentially? And Garrett went through a lot of the pros and cons of both. DATCAP, in order for us to have a certifiable ordinance, DATCAP has to approve it. We did chat with them about it, and they said it would, if we clarified the language to say relocations are not eligible for farm consolidations, they're okay with that pathway, and they're also okay with us saying consolidations aren't allowed. You know, there's tons of different ways to look at this. In one hand, allowing consolidations, it does provide an easier pathway for the landowner to divide their land off in certain circumstances. To not allow consolidation does give towns more input on how the land is divided in their township. So it's kind of weighing those two things, which is why we wanted to get input from you guys before we made the decision and which way to run on this. We did, like Garrett said, reach out to the townships to try and get some of their input as well. But like Garrett said, we haven't received anything back yet. But we definitely will bring that information to the committee once we get it. We just kind of wanted to start this so we could know where to start working on the Farm Pres ordinance.
Yes, Supervisor Kroll, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm curious if you guys have information how often the farm consolidation is actually used. I've maybe seen a small handful, so I guess I'm just curious how often this is used, and if, yeah, I guess I'm just wanted to gauge if it's still worth it. Thanks.
Yeah, I'd say it's right around 10 times a year roughly, between farm pres and general agricultural properties.
See it more often in the farm pres situation than we do in general ag.
Any thoughts? Recommendations for staff?
Question, is it only if the town is zoned or not zoned? If it's
This
not
all-
zoned, it doesn't put,
Yeah, this would only apply in county zone towns.
Yes, Supervisor Kroll, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My first thought is to try and fix the language so that this can work for farmers. This gives them another option in the toolbox, but with that said, I would definitely want the town's input to see what they're thinking about this as well.
Right.
Town's input, maybe without them being lord and ruler.
So, and if I may just add one other thing here. So what we'll do, and we're kind of planning on this in general, we just wanted to get some initial discussions with the committee. We'll prepare both options essentially, and then we'll bring those back with the comments from the town. Currently, like Garrett had said, most of these happen in farm preservation zone towns. Farm preservations, it's not as hard, I guess, per se, to get out of it if they need to rezone. Or general ag, sorry. With that, we have 5 townships in Marathon County that are under farm preservation. Predominantly, this ordinance amendment that we're working on now is only gonna affect those 5 towns. Apart from this section, we could have 2 different standards for farm pres and general ag. However, I would recommend that no matter what we choose, we make it consistent among both general ag and farm pres, just to make it less confusing for individuals going through the process as well as the regulators.
No, I would agree with that, keeping it streamlined, and I would like to hear what the towns have to say about this as well, get their input. Anybody else? Supervisor Schoenborn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could you give me the 5 towns, please?
It is Town of McMillan, Town of Brighton, Town of Eau Plaine, Town of Marathon, and Town of Hull.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, anybody else?
Mr. Chair, if I could, sorry, one more thing,
go ahead.
just popped into my head. If you wouldn't mind, also keep in mind some other areas, if you feel things need to be looked at on the farm preservation standards. It's something we're working on, so I know we'll have future discussions about it at the committee level as well, but just kind of keep that in your mind.
Okay. Anything else? You guys are good? Okay, now we can move on to item 7B, consideration on whether to provide comment to Wisconsin Public Service Commission on American Transmission Company LLC application to upgrade electrical grid.
I will go ahead and start, and then Shad will fill in what I miss. But we did receive a letter from the Public Service Commission yesterday regarding a project from the American Transmission Company to expand transmission lines in the northern part of our county. So what they are proposing to do is add additional transmission lines along from the north edge of our county down through the village of Maine and the town of Texas. The purpose of the project is to create more reliability for our electrical grid, so they're not replacing, but they're adding an additional transmission line into our county. They have been evaluating 2 options that would do this. One they call the west route, the pink route on this map. The other they call the east route, which is the orange route. The east route is the one they're listing as the preferred option. It largely runs parallel to the existing transmission line that we already have, but there is about, we estimate 3 to 3.5 miles of new transmission line that would also be run along County Road W, mostly in Wisconsin Public Service right-of-way, but also through some private landowners' land. Couple things we learned by looking at this some more yesterday was that overall, the eastern route has been the preferred route in the comments they've received. DACCAP also did an agricultural review or an impact analysis and said that the eastern route had less impacts to farmland if they went with that route. Let's see, what else? So right now where they are in the project is they have determined that they have completed an environmental analysis and they are determining there's not a significant impact and they want to close that phase of the project and move the application forward. What they're looking for comment between now and February 13th is whether or not people agree with that decision. There's still an opportunity for the county to comment beyond February 13th as it relates to the application itself. It would go forward to the PSC for application approval in March, and there's some public hearings and opportunities to comment at that time too, whether or not we agree with the application. But the letter that we received right now is asking us to determine whether or not we agree with their decision to not do an environmental impact study. And I'm going to let Shad add some more details because I know I'm missing a lot.
You actually did very well. I know one of the biggest questions that we had was, and Lori touched base on this, if we would have other opportunities to comment. And the answer, like Lori said, yes, we will have other opportunities to comment on the project. This is just specifically for environmental aspects of the project. They're not going to consider other comments at this time. I did touch base with representatives from PSC, and they had said that in the next few weeks we should be receiving another letter that would kind of trigger another comment period for a public hearing that's going to be held. I believe it's March 24th for further comments. These would only be comments related to environmental factors that they're looking for right now. Not saying we can't bring those comments forward at the next public hearing or the next comment period. It's just this would be the appropriate time for environmental ones. There's a good chance that if they do close the environmental aspects of this project, the comments aren't really going to do a whole lot later on in the process.
I know this only pertains to the environmental part, but is there going to be compensation like they did when they did the Arrowhead, the Weston, where that on the properties, there would be compensation for them having that on? That's probably the next step.
So with this specific project, it's not considered a high capacity line. So there won't be any EIF funds associated with it. This is 115 kVA. It would have to be 345 kVA for it to provide those funds.
Any other questions or comments? Supervisor Kroll?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to be sure, the environmental review was completed by the PSC and DNR, is that correct?
Yeah, the PSC and DNR do a combined assessment, and then if they feel there needs to be more information or a more detailed study, they do a environmental impact study, correct?
Yes, and then DACCAP also did an agricultural impact analysis as well, so.
And just to clarify, at this time, they're saying that they don't feel there's a need for a bigger study.
Yes, where everybody else is kind of satisfied with what information they have right now. Okay. Supervisor Gibbs? Chair Gibbs?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just to be clear, as I understand it, in the way that even the two proposed routes do not go through any county-owned land anywhere, do they?
When we looked at the area along County W, we believe it is all in the Wisconsin Public Service right away, so.
Anybody else? Questions, comments? I think we're good.
So I guess we'll keep everyone updated on additional opportunities to comment, but we did just want to get this before you because of that one comment period closing by February 13th, so.
Good, thank you. All right, so I guess we're good with that one. We'll move on to item 8. Next meeting is March 3rd, 2026, and future agenda items. Committee members are asked to bring ideas for future discussion. Any announcements, requests, or correspondence? No, so we will entertain item number 9, motion to adjourn by Seifelt and seconded by Supervisor Draybeck. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank